Welcome everyone to the first episode in 2019 of Unrooted Men's Volleyball Edition, and my guest for the first episode this year is none other than the new head coach of the men's volleyball program at Menlo College, Todd Hollenbeck. Todd, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's start by talking a little bit about yourself now. You've spent some time coaching at UC Santa Cruz. You were the men's and women's volleyball coach over there, but most recently you were an assistant at the University of Southern California. What is it like being a coach at such a prestigious and very large university like USC?
It was an interesting experience for me because coming from Santa Cruz, I kind of was the whole show. I did a lot of the stuff. Santa Cruz Athletics, they supported us in certain ways, but I had to fundraise on my own. I had to do all these things just all by myself. And if I didn't do them, they wouldn't get done. Or working at USC, the support staff was out of this world. Tons of different help here, tons of different help there. They had their own marketing department. I was the marketing department at Santa Cruz. So it was really nice that all we had to do was put in requests. But that being said, there was a lot more tape to cut through. I just made all the decisions for myself at Santa Cruz, whereas at USC we had to, you put in this request here, it goes through a bunch of people, and then they'll do it. But it wasn't like, hey, if I need something done right now, sometimes that wouldn't be the case because you had to go through all these different channels.
Yeah, the pros and cons of being at such a large institution like that.
And I mean, their support for their athletes is really, top notch. I don't know any other school that really provides what they do and the time and effort they put into their athletic programs.
Menlo College, close number 2 then.
Yeah, close number 2. Hey, to be honest, I mean, it's just scaled down a little bit, to be honest. I mean, Menlo does such a great job, especially when I showed up on my interview here. The strength and conditioning program and what Coach Vic has done for that program and the new gym you guys have built, it's just a smaller version of what USC has for their athletes.
Absolutely. So what a lot of people don't realize about the beauty of a small college like Menlo.
That is true. That is true.
Now, I don't think I've met any coach in our department, or really any department, who is as big of a movie buff as you seem to be. What are your top 3 movies of all time, if you can put them on a list?
So I did see this question coming, and I took some time to think about it, and I classed it into not favorites but most influential movies of all time. I'd say I love horror films. It's one of my favorite genres of movies. So I'd have to say my most influential horror film would be The Shining, without a doubt. Just that was one of these movies I saw when I was a kid, and just I was all about it. And it was terrifying and interesting, and so that would be for my horror. And then I also just love comedy. You got to be able to laugh.
Of course.
So The Big Lebowski, as much as it's kind of, it's not always comedic. It's kind of dark and kind of real life comedy. You find the funny things in life, and I think that's just a really funny, interesting movie. And then I picked my third, which is a super strange pick because it's my favorite sick day movie. Like, that one movie that's on every time it happens to be on on demand, and you're like, where did this come from? Cabin Boy. Okay. You've never seen this before, but it is just not. It's the silliest movie you've ever seen in your life, and it's something that, when you're sick and it comes on, it's just like, it's funny. But so that's what I picked for my third movie.
My question for you is, how is The Shining influential for you? How does that influence you?
No, it influenced my life in terms of turning me on to loving horror movies.
Okay.
So it was like my first true horror movie I ever saw that, that I sat and watched. I think I sat with my parents and we watched it. I might have been, 10. And it was just something that I've always, now from here on out, you could point out a horror movie, I've probably seen it.
Okay, so that works for me, because I'm thinking influencing your life. Right. How would a horror film do that? Do I want to know?
No, absolutely.
I don't know what Todd Hollenbeck After Dark is like, and I don't know if that would be, influenced by The Shining, perhaps. So let's talk a little bit about the team here. You take over a very young team. This is just the second year of the men's volleyball program, but this year it's a lot of sophomores as opposed to a lot of freshmen from year one. What's been the biggest adjustment for you and for the guys so far in the off season as we get ready for 2019?
So we're still kind of feeling each other out in terms of expectation of one another, and their expectations of themselves with their teammates. And coming into this as a new program and understanding that it's still about building. I know the team is anxious to score points and win, and the focus is on the W's and the L's, and not so much sometimes keeping it one step at a time. And so that's what I've really been trying to keep our guys on point. It's about the baby steps. It's going to get us where we want to go. But if we start taking these leaps and bounds and we're not ready, we'll just end up being disappointed. And so that them coming in and being sophomores, I'm seeing rises in GPAs and managing their lives a little bit better and more maturely. But the volleyball is still a long way from where we need it to be. And we still have another couple weeks before we start playing our conference matches. So we really want to kind of button up the small things and really see the guys start gelling, because one of my strategies as a coach is early on in the season, they don't play, there's not an A side and B side early. We only start making the A side and B side happen, it just started happening this last week. First, like before our first match, we had an A side, B side. But that doesn't happen because we have to have true competition in the gym. Means you're constantly playing against guys that that can push you. And if you always are just putting the best players on one side against guys you feel aren't the best, sometimes it can be lopsided. Sometimes the A side gets a little comfortable, and I hate that. And you want the guys always competing, always wanting to get better, and improving their teammates in the process.
So with all those guys back for year number 2, how does the continuity and familiarity prove to be a big benefit for this team in 2019?
I think they all understand how close they are as friends. They know each other off the court so well. They hang out, they do things together, and that's great. I think now they're starting to get familiar of the expectation of themselves on the court. And that's just going to be huge. I mean, developing leadership has been tough for this team because we have so many young players, and one guy steps up, and another guy steps up, and another guy steps up, which is great. But we're starting to kind of feel out who is really going to be the leadership when times are tough. Because it's easy to be a captain when you're winning, but who's the guy that's going to keep pushing the team to get better and build the program when times are it's not great.
Absolutely. Now, the 2019 season began with a 5-set loss to NCAA Division III Arcadia University last Sunday, a match that certainly was a lot of fun to watch. What were your thoughts overall from the season opener?
So that was only the third time our starting lineup had ever played together, really, in a match, let alone in practice. So, guys feeling out the game as we went, because we only had we had a little bit of film of Arcadia, but every team's different. They'd switched different lineups a bunch of times, and we, had just are trying this lineup for the first time. Well, not first time, but only third, fourth time we've ever done it. And so, Arcadia came in, and at the end of the day, they played if you look at the stats, they played one piece of their game better than we played our one piece. They outblocked us by 6 or 7 blocks. Yeah. But our serving attack percentage, all those, we outdug them. We were all equal, but they just had 4 or 5 more blocks than we did. And in a 5-set match, anything can happen in that 5th game. And they sat it out at a much higher clip than us, and that's the tail of the tape.
For sure. Now, there are no road games in the month of January except for the exhibition you had to begin the year up at Stanford. How does that help ease the guys into what is a pretty long season? So,
for me, when scheduling, I really kind of looked at, a slow ramp into what we were doing, not throwing them, besides playing Stanford, who played a heck of a game and really took it to us early. But understanding there was going to be some ups and downs, and giving our guys a chance to recover after matches and learn. Sometimes when you're scheduling tons of matches in a row, or you're going to these tournaments where you have 5 or 6 matches or 4 or 5 matches, you don't really have time to bring in the information and then reapply it in practice. And our team needs that to grow, in my opinion. And then coming into conference, when we fly down to LA to play Hope International first conference game, we should be at an ability to peak there, rather than if we played 10 matches in this kind of preseason and be kind of beat up going into that.
Yeah, this ain't your first rodeo schedule.
No,
so
it's
you
not.
Know the ins and outs of it, no doubt. All right, Todd, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 off-the-wall questions. Give me your best answers.
Okay.
Question number 1, which athlete lives his life most like an action movie?
I'd have to say probably our freshman middle blocker, Chase Dorito, because he goes hunting and fishing, and it's kind of action-y. I'm assuming he dirt bikes or rides quads, so whenever I think about action, I think about that.
That makes sense too. Plus, the name Chase kind of is
it
like
goes
an
right
action star name.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's a good pick. Question number 2, which athlete is most likely to fall off of a Trojan horse?
I'd have to say that'd have to be sophomore middle Ryan Hansel. He'd get right. Oh, actually, no. Take that back. Sophomore setter Trey Lake. He's a cowboy, so he's going to be up on that horse, and he's going to probably fall off.
He's going to fall off at some point.
Yep.
All right. And then question number 3, which athlete would most likely steal someone's cheese and pine nut hummus out of a communal refrigerator?
That is definitely a sophomore outside hitter. Would it be? I'd have to say it would be Clay, a sophomore outside hitter. I think he would do that. You just see that no one had touched it in a while and just off with it.
Maybe he was the one who got into the fridge down
That could easily be. That could be a thing. Next time, I'm putting full labels on my stuff next time.
Full labels, and make sure you install a little camera over there too.
Yeah. Oh.
Just to make sure.
It's 21st century. Gotta have some security.
Exactly. Maybe a little GoPro or something.
Easy.
It can be easily hid.
It could be easily.
All right, Todd, thanks for joining me on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome, folks. The men's volleyball team, no games this weekend, but they will be in action next weekend with a pair of matches against Westcliff University. That's going to be set for Friday and Saturday, the 26th and 27th. They both start at 7 o'clock, and both games will be streamed live on the Menlo College Sports Network. We invite you to tune into next week's episode of Unrooted Men's Volleyball Edition, when Todd Hollenbeck will select the first student athlete to be interviewed by me, Brian Brownfield, right here on the show. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.